republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Merrill?
Mr. Newbold?
Present.
Ms. Lovelace? Here. Ms. Malafor? Here. Ms. Thomas? Here. Ms. Bartos? Here. Mr. Sarnoski?
Here.
Ms. Butcher? Here.
Written notice of this meeting, November 21st, has been given to in accordance with the Public Meetings Act. And by forwarding a schedule of the regular meetings of the Warren County Library Commission to the Morris County Clerk, Star Ledger of the Daily Record. And by posting a copy on the bulletin board in the office of the Board of County Commissioners and the Warren County Clerk. Formal action may be taken at the Warren County Library Commissioners at this meeting. Public participation is encouraged in order to hear full public participation. Those individuals with comments will be limited to 4 minutes. May I have approval of last month's minutes?
I'll second it.
In favor? Aye.
We do a roll call? Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
I know, it's all new. Henry?
Present.
Fred? Yes. Alice? Yes. Liza?
I just wanted to add just something in front of one of the sentences under communications to commission. And I just happened to notice it that where it says I had requested a motion to post book review resource. I just wanted before that line, just say in response to a communication.
All in favor?
And then then.
Well,
yes.
you have to make motion to as amended.
May we have a motion as amended, please?
Oh, that's fine. You just have to, yeah.
May we have a motion as amended?
Yes. Get you.
Yes. Second?
All in favor?
No, you need a second. I'm sorry, did you get a second? I didn't hear.
I'll second it.
Okay.
All right. Can we do the roll call?
Yes,
As amended, Henry?
yes.
Fred? Yes. Alice?
Yes.
Liza?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
And that's it.
Financial resolution, may I have a motion to move the financial resolution?
I make a motion to do that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
In the roll
The
call.
amount is $105,586.39.
We can do a roll call on this one.
Yeah, we do.
Mr. Newbold?
Yes.
Ms. Rokos? Yes. Ms. Malator? Yes. Ms. Gerhart? Yes. Ms. Thomas? Yes.
Communication, we have 7.
Are you all in receipt of the 7 letters?
Yes.
Yes.
Old business, library commission bylaws.
Public comments.
Yeah.
Number 8.
Public comments are limited now to the agenda.
Question about the Anna Babitsky Hackettstown. Question about the book review resources. I understand this came up last minute and since we didn't see the meeting minutes yet. Trying to understand what is planned and how you're planning to implement it. I saw the 5 tools that you listed. I mean, one of them is not like the others and it's actually very puzzling. Can someone provide any explanation of what is being planned?
So what's your question?
My question
More
is about the
specifically.
book resources that
Right.
you have an agenda.
Right.
What is the goal and how are you planning to implement?
So, but you're questioning the list of books?
So,
resources?
so I will just say what the resolution says
Yeah.
is the following list of resources has been agreed to by the commission to be posted or to post in various areas of the library. And then it lists the 5 resources that would be posted in various areas of the library.
Okay, so then I have a question, okay, so then I have a question. Why these 5, how they were selected? There's 20 or more that I can find online. I can Google right now and I can find so many more. How these 5 were selected?
So they were suggested by some people in the audience. I had come up with one, well, actually, it was from the communication that we had in the previous month. And so that's basically how it was, and I think one was suggested by Ms. Butcher too.
Who suggested BookLooks? Because that's frankly very.
That was the one that was
That's
suggested.
embarrassing. It's really embarrassing.
Well, that's
for
your
this
opinion.
library to do. Well,
Yeah.
as an IT professional, I'm really embarrassed by that because it's very unprofessional. It's very low tech. It's very low volume and it's extremely biased. It's biased to someone's, it's a crowdsource. It's anybody. I write reviews all the time on Goodreads.
Well,
And I think mine might much better than those.
and the beauty of just having a starting list, basically this one is nobody's forced to look at any of these if they don't want to.
But as a library, as a professional organization, you're proposing something that is.
Giving parents full disclosure as to what might be in a book that
This
the
is not
child's
the full
reading.
disclosure. It's not the full disclosure.
I don't want to take up your time. It's really not a back and forth between the board and you. It's your time to comment. And so I don't want to take up your time because there's
Okay.
only a few minutes.
So then here's the comment. I'm hoping it's going to be in the minutes. As a taxpayer here, I feel that there is some kind of very special goal here. And it's not it's not the goal for the public. I think someone here is trying to do something for their own, maybe political, points, but it's not for the public. What you're doing here, you're actually forcing various opinions on the public that we did not ask for. I would like that to be in the minutes, if at all possible, please. Thank you very much.
You don't have.
Can we have no clapping during these speeches?
No.
So-
I couldn't hear the. That'd be nice to include the clapping.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Guy Citron, I'm from Califon. BookLooks is for book haters. BookLooks is crowdsourced. Its reviews typically come from the most sensitive, skeptical, and easily offended people, rather than professionals. Furthermore, while the website claims to make no money and the company seeks no recognition, it is not a registered nonprofit. Florida-based BookLooks is also publicly tied to the state's local Moms for Liberty, a hyper-political book banning movement. There is no need for the Warren County Library to diminish its credibility by promoting such an unreliable source. The library already offers trusted information services like Novelist, Novelist. This database provides objective reviews from major professional sources for close to 500,000 fiction and nonfiction titles, complete with reader discussion guides and reading lists. Librarians, parents, and community members use these tools to decide if a book is right for them and their families already. By comparison, BookLooks reviews only a few hundred titles, almost always negatively, and at the discretion of its private crowd, with no attribution. To understand the difference between BookLooks and a professional, objective, and authoritative review, consider Gregory Maguire's critically acclaimed and widely enjoyed Wicked. Commonly found in high schools and public libraries, Wicked is a reimagining of The Wizard of Oz and the source material for the long-running Broadway musical and upcoming film of the same name. Unlike a professional review that discusses writing style, characters, themes, literary merit, the BookLooks review of Wicked consists mainly of a list of 7 words that BookLooks considers profanity, mentioned a total of 16 times only in a 736-page book. Although those 7 words are familiar to every modern teenager, BookLooks claims their infrequent appearance in Wicked makes the book inappropriate for anyone under the age of 18. Clearly, BookLooks and Commissioner Thomas have an agenda. They want to spread hate about books and restrict their access rather than understand and communicate their value objectively. When I was a teenager, Mr. Chairman, I read The Chocolate War. I read Ender's Game. BookLooks would have said those books were too offensive. This is selective, manufactured outrage by people who hate books.
Were you directing that?
Thank you for your time.
Is he directing that?
I must say, I find it the height of hypocrisy that people who say that people on this board and other places try to ban books or restrict knowledge are openly asking to ban or restrict a source of knowledge. It's absolute hypocrisy that somebody would say that any source of knowledge should be banned if they're saying that this board has never banned any books from the library. This board has not looked to remove any books from the library. There's been talk of restriction, but not banning. But what I hear is banning sources of knowledge, and there's multiple sources of knowledge here. So I find it to be the height of hypocrisy to say that one, you're banning knowledge, but actually you're coming up and requesting that knowledge be banned. I'm sorry, I had to say that. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Sandy Roberts from Blairstown. I've been away for a couple of months, so it's nice to see you all again. Yeah, I just want to start by saying thank you for your service, for being here tonight, especially on this very cruddy, rainy night. Thank you to our staff for being here, and thank you to all the citizens and taxpayers that have taken time out of their day to be here as well. As someone who loves the library, it's really exciting to see so many people that really care about what we're doing. It's really special. So I have been gone for a couple of months. And when I checked the agenda and saw today that there was added this draft of this policy, the first thing that popped into my head is, what problem is this solving? Who is this for? Every parent has, a tiny little phone in their back pocket. If they don't, they have free computers and free Wi-Fi and the internet. Google is free. It's really easy to go and check on a book if you're not sure. If you're here with your kids, you can simply look through that book and judge for yourself whether or not that book is appropriate. It's something we've been doing for a really long time. So I looked at this list and I'm like, what's the point? What problem is this actually solving? Because month after month I come here and people are like, we would like our First Amendment rights to be respected. We would like parents to get to choose what their kids read. We would like a diverse collection that represents everybody in our community, over and over and over again. So what problem does this solve? Who is this list for? Our library website already has great resources on it that were chosen by professionals that we trust to select our collection. And they're great resources. They're provided by professionals who spend their lives, are dedicated to this work, and they help us select books we need. I can go on there and say, I just read Wicked, whatever. And it'll suggest 5 other books like that for me. So what problem does this list solve? Who is this list for? Because that doesn't seem very clear to me, and that makes me feel like maybe the best intentions aren't at play here. We don't publicize lists of accountants at tax time. We don't publicize lists of lawnmower, companies when our, the grass gets trimmed at the library. Because we're a public entity and everybody is supposed to be welcome here. Why are we selecting a couple of companies to highlight and endorse? Why are we doing that? What problem does this solve? Who is this for? I'm a parent. I'll choose what's right for my kids. I'll choose what's right for my family. That's my right as an American to do that. I don't need the library telling me. I don't need some list on a bulletin board telling me. I can make those decisions all by myself. And I think most of us can. And if I don't like a book that my kids want to take out, I tell them that and I talk to them about it. And I may say, nope, you're not checking that book out. And if I don't like a book, I don't read it. I don't have to agree with everybody. That's okay. We can all still be respectful of one another. So I just don't understand this policy. I don't know why we're spending time and resources on it. What problem does it actually solve? The problem is already solved. This is a solution without a problem. And it just makes no sense to me. I'd like to just end really quick with a quote that I read today as I was researching. It's important that parents, rather than politicians and bureaucrats, are in charge of their children's education. And I agree with that 100%. I'll decide for my family what we should be reading. That quote's from Commissioner Sarnowski, and I agree with you 100%. Leave it to the parents. Don't go endorsing random websites, solving problems that don't exist. Thank you.
County Library Commissioners. My name's Sarah Hare from Polk Township. I heard that one of you, and now I hear the whole board, was recommending that the Warren County Public Libraries conspicuously post the website BookLooks.org as a resource for parents in selecting or approving books for their children to read. As a parent, a retired New Jersey Public Schools reading specialist, a former coordinator of the Montclair State College Curriculum Resource Center, and a former site advisor for the New York Public Library's Centers for Reading and Writing, I wholeheartedly disagree with posting or making available publicly this website for parents. Before reading any articles about this site or doing any outside research to learn how others perceive it, I decided to take a look myself. As a literacy specialist, I am intimately aware of many sites and organizations that review and recommend children's and young adults' books, including the American Library Association's notable book recommendations, commonsensemedia.org, goodreads.org, bookalicious.com, and the Boston Public Library and New York Public Library children's book recommendation websites, and many others. My schema for reviewing booklooks.org also included the numerous graduate courses I have taken towards an EDS and EDD at Seton Hall, in which I studied ad nauseum scientifically reliable and ethical methods of designing interviews, questionnaires, surveys, and yes, rating scales. When I opened booklooks.org, I found the section called Book Rating System, and observed that although the write-up says, quote, in developing our rating scale and the driving criteria, we took inspiration from existing systems for movies, television, and video games while trying to tailor our criteria for books and the current public discussion surrounding them, etc. I naturally scrolled through the site to learn what those existing systems were, and I found nothing. Not one mention of the sources about which they refer. I got curious to know what made these parents experts in designing a rating system. And nowhere on the site is there a person's name or reference to their qualifications for building such a rating scale. Needless to say, I never would have been able to been allowed to include this site as a resource for writing in any of my qualitative research classes at Seton Hall. Nor should we, I strongly propose, use this as a reliable and ethical source for parents. In reviewing the site, I also opened many of the book ratings and read through the comments. The selected quotes, all taken out of context, often included statements that referred to experiences of LGBTQIA+ individuals, and often about Black children's thoughts and experiences in realistic fiction and nonfiction. For example, for the book Magnolia Flower by Zora Neale Hurston, adapted by Ibram K. Kendi, a historical fiction book, the summary of concerns states, quote, slavery and oppression commentary. That was their concern. And in one among 5 quoted sections that are given to support their concern, it states, quote, since the arrival of European settlers, Native peoples have been fighting for the lands of their ancestors, and enslaved Africans have been fighting to be free. The only reason I can determine that this book is on this list is to block Native American and Black people's history of oppression and resistance from children. Another example, and there are dozens on this website, is found in the summary of concerns and quotes for the book Drama, a graphic novel by Raina Telgemeier. The summary of concerns states, quote, alternate sexualities and sexual activities. The truth is that there are no sexual activities in this book unless you want to call very simple kiss scenes sexual. Among the quotes that lead to their concern is a girl saying, quote, it's cool, I guess I never really knew if anyone I knew was actually, and the boy responding, gay? You can say it, I don't mind. Drama is one of the most popular books for students of all sexual identities in the middle school at which I taught. The only reason I can determine that this book is on this
The
list.
4 minutes did sound already, so
Yeah.
thank you for
Can I
your,
finish my sentence?
Yes.
Thank you,
well,
Chairman.
you already went beyond it.
Thank you, Chairman.
She
Okay,
may finish.
I hope that you'll read the rest of my comments.
Yeah, that was all in what you just gave us, right?
Everything,
Okay,
and more.
thank you.
I'm Scott, and I live in Wilcox. And hopefully you got my application to be on the board. I have been working in a library for 40 years, starting in high school, college, 34 years at the front desk of a library, 16 years as a media center specialist, and I spent my last 3 years as the children's librarian in a town of 11,000. So she made a really good point, like what was the purpose of putting this there? And parents should be in control of what their children read, and most parents do come and they look to see what books. But to what I would teach my 3rd through 6th graders about research would be called cards. Credibility, accuracy, reliability, relevance, date, and scope. When you look at BookLook, there is no credibility. So I would not even accept anything from that. And as a library, it's not.
That's mine, I looked at it, my apologies. I'm so sorry, that's okay, so sorry.
So when you look at their sources, you're taking away the credibility of a library. It's been an institution around, one of our most ancient learning institutions. And to put something like BookLook there on site does not make sense to me. This is Curtis. So when you look at their sources, like who they are, you're going to get a list of names and people and what their educational backgrounds are. When you look at Form, I mean, they've got like 30 different people, so you can see who their reviewers are and what their educational backgrounds are, and it's pages of it. But this is BookLook. Doesn't tell you who they are, what their credentials are, so you're losing credibility with your parents already. It says, we are concerned parents have been frustrated by the lack of resource materials for content-based information regarding books accessible to our children and young people. That's it. They're not telling you who they are. So to me, you're diminishing the credibility of the library when you put that source available. And I'm not saying sources should not be available. You just need to be more cognizant of what you're putting forth. This is a Curtis review of the book, right? This is a Baker and Taylor review of a book. This is a BookLook review. It tells you their points that are problematic, and then it tells you pages of words. Quite different than what this is. So credibility matters, and you're doing your librarians a disservice when they're trying to choose books for your children to read. You're doing your parents a disservice when you're giving them a source that's not credible. So I hope that you keep that in mind, and I look forward to hearing from you on my application as a. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for having this meeting tonight. My name is Dan Klein. I'm from Chatham, New Jersey. I run an organization called Safe Libraries and one called World Library Association, which is based in Texas, though I'm not. Book reviews are very important things for people to have, obviously. There's a problem, though, for parents when they are judging books, and that is when they attempt to judge a book, there are no book review sources out there, or very few, that actually contain information that parents want to know about the explicitness or the potential for explicitness in books. There are only two sources out there that do that: Common Sense Media and BookLooks. All the other sources do not tell you the potential for explicitness. So it is very important to parents to be able to have those sources, to be able to decide if a book is right for their own child. These things have nothing to do with whether you're going to have these books in the library, because you're going to have all the books in the library. You're just providing some guidance for parents who choose to look at your suggested suggestions. You have Common Sense there, and you have BookLooks. Now, how do we know BookLooks is actually very popular? It's extremely popular amongst parents who are interested in finding out this information, which is why it's come up here in the first place. We know it is very popular because the American Library Association, after smearing the organization, as you heard some smears today, actually decided to copy the group. They came up with their own BookLooks, only they call it book resumes. So you can go onto the ALA website and get book resumes. Book resumes will tell you that the book has been awarded multiple times, usually by the American Library Association, and it will tell you how many, it will tell you all the reviews that it gets from ALA-approved sources like the Book List and School Library Journal, and BookLooks is an American Library Association source. But it does not give you excerpts, and it does not give you graphics where that's appropriate. So if a parent wants to see what's inappropriate in a book, BookLooks is the only source where they can see the excerpts and see the graphics and decide for themselves if this is appropriate for their children. There's no anti-Indian bias in it, as we heard. There's no connection to Moms for Liberty. Let me tell you about that connection. The person who created BookLooks was a former Moms for Liberty member. There are over 130 Moms for Liberty members and probably lots of former ones. There's only 48,000 American Library Association members. Are we supposed to take 130,000 people and say, if you were a former member of this group, we're not going to consider anything you do anymore? There is no connection to Moms for Liberty. I confirm that with the leaders of Moms for Liberty. It's the way it is. There's another important thing about this. It's very important that nobody else will hear or say to you. The American Library Association doesn't want you to have this thing. Why? Because they have been working for years to stop just this. They stopped Common Sense Media, for example. When they found it was on one of their own websites, they got it removed. And then they blacklisted it from all library schools and from all state library associations. They said you have to get rid of Common Sense Media precisely because it gave parents a clue about the explicitness of books. Now they're doing it again with BookLooks. They also did it with the MPAA ratings, movie ratings. They said librarians are not to use those as a guide. You are to give the children anything they ask for, and if the movie is X-rated or R-rated, that's not your job as a librarian to make that decision. So the ALA has for years been saying, communities cannot use these ratings, cannot have ratings for parents. Why is that?
Sure, your time. Thank you
That's
very
it.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Philip Aldridge from Independent Stanford. Firstly, thank you, commissioners. Thank you for putting the motions up online so that we could see them. That's really helpful to see, and I appreciate the time you put into putting them together. Thank you for reading my letter. I noticed some of my suggestions are in here. I hope you all had a chance to compare those various resources. And I did make the comment about BookLooks, and it's been echoed, so to keep it brief, BookLooks is really very small. When I checked on October 27th, it had under 1,000 books in its library, which compared to the others is just a fraction. It does have that restrictive rating system. If you check books on other resources that are for teens, it's often lists them as 18 plus. So its rating system is a one-line summary. We heard that already. And it launches into concerns and lists of pages out of context of things that they don't like. And we've heard something about that. I hope you've all had a chance to do your own independent look at that. It doesn't attempt to explain the purpose of the books it reviews. You know, they're usually written for a reason, either a personal account or they're trying to make a bigger point at work. And yes, it was created by a Moms for Liberty member who has left the group. Nevertheless, links to booklooks.org appear prominently on Moms for Liberty websites, and no other resources appear there, which is kind of a clue. So I think having written the letter and that the resources were not a bad idea, honestly, and probably from all the controversy here, I would urge you to either drop BookLooks off the list altogether or just kill the motion. I don't know that we really need it. Thank you very much.
Yes, please.
All right, give them a moment.
Named Brian. I'm from Highbridge, New Jersey. And, well, I'm not really gonna beat around the bush. I'm pretty sure everyone here knows what's going on. I think you all in the commission know it as well. Before me were a plethora of speakers who more or less listed logical reasons why using BookLooks would not exactly be a good idea. But those of you who are supporting using BookLooks, I don't think you care. Let's just be blunt. You want to censor literature and to serve your agenda, your own political agenda. You want to censor books because you don't believe youth are citizens with autonomy. You believe they are property to be controlled. And with free access to information, they'll start asking questions you don't want them to ask. Whether that be about LGBT rights, the history of the country, what name you. And that's it, and you know it. Quite frankly, I think it's un-American, but I don't think you care. You can deny it, or you can finally just be honest. Either way, as you go about forcing your Florida politics on the people of New Jersey, just know that we are being fooled, and we're not exactly gonna let it go. That's all.
My name is Sylvia Sincapria. I'm a transgender woman from Hunterdon County. And I just want to say that I don't think BookLooks is a reputable source for information, and rather it is more so a list of books that is not very inclusive to the queer community or any marginalized community, and serves to further oppress those people. So I don't support the use of it, and I hope the board sees to that as well. Thank you.
Just a quick observation while listening, several things struck me. Let me go back to when Commissioner Sarnoski said earlier about interesting that you're trying to ban sources of knowledge. That phraseology struck me as strange, so I Googled it. What's the difference between knowledge and information? Knowledge is an assemblage of information intended to impart a greater understanding. Information is just information. When I've listened to everyone out here describe what book source is, it's information. It's not knowledge. And I think that's the key difference. The other resources impart a knowledge and understanding of what the books are about, not a listing of objectionable words. And that's a vast difference between those sources. 4 of those sources are sources for knowledge. The other is a source for information. And personally, I try to make decisions based on knowledge, not disparate pieces of information. Thank you.
You are aware, every public meeting is required to provide adequate notice of the meeting and the agenda to the public. This meeting, notice was not provided about this meeting or the last meeting in accord with the Sunshine Law. On paragraph 6 of the agenda, it talks about, you refer to a resolution to pay bills. There are 3 resolutions with the agenda. But could you explain your reason for not providing the resolution to pay bills?
Sure, the county administrator told us we do not include that.
Did he give you a reason why?
Because it has not been approved.
By statute. Yeah, that's a statute. Until the bill list is approved, it is not a list of,
And
it
the
doesn't get provided.
resolution could have the word draft on it, as I had suggested it have in one of my letters to the Library Commission previously. So the resolution to pay bills with taxpayer dollars could look just like this with the big word on it, draft also. So could you again try and explain to me why the resolution to pay bills for over $105,000 was not provided? And also why the reason or the purpose that the administrator told you not to provide that information. That's my understanding, right? You're not providing it because he told you not to provide it.
I would,
I'm not
I
believe
would,
that's
I would
the comment.
say what we need to do is have the interpretation from the attorney so that we can clearly and adequately answer your question. Because I know there's statutes regarding what part of the agenda is operable and transferable to the public prior to approval of the minutes or, prior approval. So things like meeting minutes until they're approved do not get released. Things like bill list until they're approved do not get released. So that's part of the statute on Oprah, and I would ask that we have the attorney, whether it be the board attorney or the county attorney, get back to you on that. So I think that shouldn't be answered by the library staff. I think that needs to be answered by the attorney.
And what is the attorney's name?
You can go to the county attorney, Joe Bell.
Who?
Joe Bell.
Joe Bell. And why, could you explain why, the reason for the communications not being provided?
We were told not to include those either. So we are following what as you can see, we've tried to reorder the agenda a little bit. And we are following the recommendations of the county.
And who in the county is that specifically?
The county administrators who we met with to go over the agenda and what should be included.
Previously, when you would write the word communications, you listed the specific letters. Now you're not doing that.
Correct.
Could you
Again,
explain?
again, upon recommendation from the county.
And okay. The reason is he told you so. Is that what I'm to understand?
Yes, we met with the county administrator to go through how the agenda is created, the order now of business. And that was one of the things he said should be removed.
And is that like the resolution to pay bills? Is that a public document?
I believe once it's approved, you can go through and request it.
Or it could look like this?
I don't know if legally it can.
Not before it's
Approved.
But I look forward to
Thank you.
hearing from the attorney or the administrator with a reason and a purpose for not providing the bills. The bills of
Thank-
$105,000. Is that in 1 month? Is that the expenditure? Is
your
that
time
the-
is up?
4 minutes is up.
Yeah, but you can come back up at the end as well. Public. At the end. Thank you.
I also want to note that everyone else received much more time than 4 minutes.
Thank you.
I'm held to a different standard apparently.
We cut everyone off for 4 minutes. The same, we did the same way for everyone.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Christopher Bachnight. I am from Washington, New Jersey. So just to get a look at the sources that's being looked for this so-called book monitoring for adults and kids, it's trash. It really is. It's not even that great. And for someone who's a young father, I'm a young father, 37% of young fathers. I don't like it. And I can judge the books for kids. I can judge a book for at least my daughter, that's good for her or not. I don't need a site to tell me what's good or not, because I'm gonna read the book before I even get it. So you're telling me that this site is good for these type of this system is, I don't think it's gonna work personally. And I'll be damned if I was cut off from knowledge and information when I was a kid. You go to my house is full of books. From my office that I have upstairs to the downstairs in the living room. A whole bunch of books. Probably some people wouldn't like, but it's what it is. I like to read. I like information. I'm gonna spread that to my kid when she gets old enough to read.
Do we have anybody on Zoom who would like to make a public comment on agenda items only?
We have one hand up.
Looking, do I see?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought
Oh,
that was
yeah.
hand up.
If so, you can unmute yourself. Any hands?
Is there anyone? No.
I don't see any hands raised.
I don't see anyone.
Okay, moving along to old business. Library Commission bylaws status.
I took the recommendations from Trish and Alice, and I believe you received a copy of that. There were just a couple of things that I had questions on. I think you have to consult an attorney about, the library operations and staff section. And then I just wasn't sure what you guys were referring to under the general section with an affirmative vote in the majority. You had it highlighted, but I wasn't quite sure what your question was in reference to that. I read it as just talking about having a majority vote when you have the quorum. Did it read okay?
It was a while ago we did it.
Okay.
I really didn't take any notes on that, so whatever the lawyer felt was appropriate,
Okay,
we could go with that.
yeah. Okay,
There was some confusion on our part as well.
those were my only comments, and I did reorganize the one section with the order of business, the agenda. Yeah, to reflect the changes that have been made.
Have these gone through county council yet?
No,
Okay,
this came from the subcommittee,
okay,
and they asked me to kind of go through it. Again, just a couple questions on it,
okay.
but it sounds like the one, there's no question at all. You were okay with that section?
Yeah.
With the majority vote?
Yeah.
Do you think it's at a level where you can submit it now to the county attorney?
I think so. We're not gonna vote on it tonight or anything, right? No, okay, it has to go to the attorney. I think we're fine with that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just wanted to clarify what your question was as far as, did you want them to change section one to read differently?
I believe they recommended removing section 1
Oh, okay.
and then adding section 2.
And then that would become section one.
What exactly? Yes,
Okay.
renumber it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have the county attorney review this first to see what's in the statute. Prior to removing anything or adding anything, because there may be, may not, match statutes, so. That's all.
Oh, review resources. We have a list of 5 resources here. You wish to vote on.
Well, I think you have to wait for the resolution.
Resolution section.
Yeah. But if there's any discussion, it's not discussion.
Yeah, so.
All right, so I do think that it is important to have resources for parents that don't have time to read every book that their child has, because I do believe that for minor children, it is important for the parents to be involved with what their kids are reading. Some of the BookLooks especially is about content, where the other ones are, I guess, basically include reviews and whatnot. So I just think it's important to start out with a list, and the list can certainly get longer, but I just think it would be worth it to have the options. Parents have a choice, not just certain groups of parents, all parents have a choice. They're not forced to look at anything. They don't have to, but they can at least see what the content is if they want to know what they want to know what their children are reading. And like I said, this isn't for just one group of parents. This is for all parents that are interested in knowing what's in anything that their kids are looking at. So unless anybody has any other input, I would like to make a motion that we.
Well, you wait for the resolution because it's on the agenda.
It's on the
So-
agenda,
so
so
you
it's
will
the
have
next
that.
section.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but Lisa, I mean, I'm gonna agree with you on that, that I did go through all, the BookLooks resource. And I went through quite a few of the books, some that I've read and some that I haven't, to see what the comparison is, as well as graphic novels that I've read, graphic novels that I haven't, to see what the resource was. And I actually found it quite objective, not subjective, because it did not list a review or give the intent. It just listed what was included. And as per the website, they include as much as they possibly can without going into copyright infringement territory. So they include sections of the book that parents may want to be aware of. They don't give an opinion on whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, just this is what it says. And this is what it may be in reference to, and you should make your own inference. And I think that's good for parents who don't have time to sit down and read a 400-page novel. I heard Wicked was talked about. I read the book Wicked, and I read the review. And I saw in there sections of the book that referenced, certain things with mature themes. And parents can look at that and say, okay, is this appropriate for my child? And then when we list the words, they're not saying that these words are not giving, they're just saying these are the words that are said within this book. Do you feel those words are appropriate for your child's level? And yes, it has a rating, but at the same time, you may disagree or agree with that rating, just like on movies. I mean, you may say PG-13 movies are appropriate for your 10-year-old child, and you may say PG-13 movies are not. I also went on something I consider very similar. For anybody who's ever used IMDb, Internet Movie Database, to understand what a movie might have in it, it very much looks at books just the way IMDb looks at movies. It tells you what scene it includes. So I went on like something like Minions, and it talks about, okay, this is what in the movie Minions was portrayed. And this is what may have been, considered sexual. And what is it, mild maybe, but that's fine. But a parent knows what to expect from it. It wasn't, saying whether or not they should have their child read it. They just said, this is what is in it. Now, you may agree with the, or you may think that the section is, taken in part, but it also just is what it is. It is not an interpretation. It is what it is. Everyone's saying it's a review. It's really not a review because it's not saying good, bad, or different. It's just saying, here's what's in it. And it may not be a complete, excuse me, it may not be a complete, reiteration of book because it's not, that would be copyright infringement, but it does show a parent what they can expect. So with that, excuse me. So with that, I agree that not only BookLooks, but there's other resources as well that are listed on here for parents. And that's the point. We're asking parents to do their own research and determine for themselves. And the funny thing is that the same people who would come up and accuse people of restricting access for children are asking that we restrict access for adults. They're asking that we ban something. And that's unbelievable to me. And that's hypocrisy in its definition. That's all I have. Thank you.
And the one thing that I did want to do is wherever it says a list of book review resources, since BookLooks is not necessarily a review. It is content limited. So I would like to have the resolution reflect book content slash book review resources, since of those five includes both the content and the review.
So when you make the resolution, when you make the motion, you would have to amend it to that and ask that it be amended.
Okay.
Just
And then, so are we ready? Do I find that we're ready to vote?
Let's go through the resolutions in order. First of all, the resolution for the reorganization meeting. What is the date of that?
The first Thursday in January is the 2nd.
January 2nd. You want to meet second, or do you want to meet the ninth?
I just be voting on.
Ninth. Any choice?
Okay, for the reorganization.
The
Yeah.
second or the ninth
In
January.
How about the ninth?
Ninth?
The ninth, would that be okay? I'm just trying to get a calendar here.
May I have a motion?
It's in your packet too.
Oh,
There
okay,
is
that's
one
right,
there.
that's right, I did see that.
Time, 5:30, is that what you're looking at?
Three, yes.
So just to be consistent, I just wanted to know, the last reorg meeting that wasn't like the fourth Thursday, the one?
No.
All right, so
No.
it was just, okay. I mean, the ninth or the second, it's up to you, because.
Second.
All right, all right, then would the second be okay?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. Can we change it to the second?
So you're motioning, you're making a motion at the second at 5:30. Either
Yes.
reorganization meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Give me a second.
I'll second.
Carol?
Mr. Newell?
Okay,
Ms. Rocos?
Yes.
Ms. Wildebohr?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmore?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
resolution to close the library for staff training.
We have set February 26th to do the training on the new integrated library system. It's about 99% confirmed at this point. They can hold up to 40 people for the training, so we should be able to get in the entire staff in that one day, so they won't have to travel somewhere to a different library for the training.
May I have a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead.
Mr. Newell?
Okay,
Ms. Rocos?
Yes.
Ms. Wildebohr?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
resolution for posting book review, resources.
And I think Ms. Thomas wanted to make an amendment to that resolution, just to,
Okay, so I just wanted to make an amendment, instead of referring to book review sources only. We just write book content / book review resources.
I beg your pardon, I didn't realize this resolution was gonna be voted on tonight, and I don't know if everybody had the chance in public comments to,
it was.
Make their
I'm sorry, we already, public comments are done, there's no change.
I beg your.
This has been on the agenda as a
Why would we
resolution.
even hear
So-
then if the resolution is gonna be voted on without your considering these public comments?
You're considered when it's on the agenda, that's why we spoke about agenda. Ma'am, you cannot talk from the crowd, it's not public comment time.
Well, I'm sorry,
So I'm sorry, sorry, thank you.
You're getting information.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so, Ms. Thomas, go ahead.
All right, so I just amended it just to be called the book content / book review resources.
So you're making a motion as amended.
So that's right, making a motion as amended.
For one item or for all five?
It's just therefore be it resolved portion, so nothing changes with the book, the 5 items, it's just making the therefore be resolved portion.
I did wanna just say that I understand the angst of just about everything that everybody is dealing with right now. I understand the angst of one side, I understand the angst of the other side. But we can't just look at people in groups. We have to look at the broader community. And nobody is forced to look at these sites at all. You can if you want to. It's for everyone or no one if you choose. And that's the beauty of living in the United States is we have choices. So that's just giving parents choices. You'll have time to speak in a public session at the end.
Why can you talk and nobody else can talk?
Because this is the board.
The public did have time to speak on agenda items at the beginning, and a lot of you did. And you were heard. But like I said, we have to take care of everyone across the board, not just certain groups of people. And I see many of you are saying parents have the right to decide what their kids read. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Parents do. But they need to have the information if they so choose, or they just need full disclosure to be able to make good decisions of what their children are reading. So we agree there. So with that, I'd like to make a motion as amended at this point to pass the resolution for the book content / book review resources. Just to have it posted in the library, so parents have the choice of whether or not to use those sites.
And then we need a second.
Is there a second?
second.
Do we have a second?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Newbold,
No.
Ms. Rocco,
Yes.
Ms. Molitor.
No.
Ms. Gerhart. Yes. Ms. Combs.
Yes.
No, it's your turn.
All right. Last week, Kelly Durkin, who is our branch manager at CDH, and I met with Emily Hammer. She's the projects manager for the CDH remodel. Emily told us that construction has been going along very well, knock on wood. We're kind of right on the timeline. The construction period should end late winter, early spring. As you may remember, we'll then probably need a good 2 months to get installed all of the shelving, the equipment. We have to bring in all the furniture and all of the physical materials. We have those scattered throughout, all of our branches. We have them in the storage space down at Southwest. So it's going to be a bit of an undertaking, we'll say, to kind of get all of that back into that building and arranged properly. But again, knock on wood, everything's going very well. So we're looking forward to a spring opening there. We just learned that one of our vendors, it's called Plymouth Rocket, going out of business at the end of this year. We use their product, it's called Tix Keeper. And that's what we use for our museum pass program. I know 2 or 3 years ago, we switched from physical passes to virtual. It's all online. Patrons can go ahead, open it up, select the dates they want for the museums. The pass is right on their phone. It's very convenient. We had a lot of problems with the physical passes, which is why we switched. We have started looking for alternatives to Tix Keeper, but they're quite pricey. Yeah. So we're gonna look at some of the stats, and it's possible that we might have to discontinue the museum pass program. It just won't be cost effective. I hate doing that. It's a nice service that we offer. It's unique. People that use those passes love it, but I'm just putting it out there that come next year, we might not be able to offer
What
the museum
museums,
passes.
what museums were part of that?
Guggenheim, Independence, Seaport, Guggenheim's the most popular.
Okay,
Let's see, we have the Japanese House and Gardens. In Philadelphia, we have the Intrepid, that's our second most popular. Unfortunately, over the past few years, some of the museums have pulled out of the program. So Grounds for Sculpture, people still ask us about it, everybody loved it. They don't participate anymore. Storm King was another one, they pulled out last year as well.
so for the price, you're not getting what we used to get,
No,
and it just doesn't make it cost
it really isn't.
or cost benefit.
And again, we will look to see if we can find another vendor, but the ones we've looked at so far are more expensive. And I would not recommend it. I'll put it that way.
So getting involved with Maine, is that gonna cover anything?
Each library still has their own museum pass program. It's not a consortium wide thing.
Right.
I know, because we talked about that actually just yesterday, but it would not apply in this case.
Okay.
Anticipation of our migration over to Koha. We have our staff working on a lot of data cleanup. We're looking at patron records, item records, the bibliographic records. We kind of want to go through, clean up as much as we possibly can before we move all of that data over for Koha. We have discovered one potential issue so far. We held last week, I think it was last week, a series of meetings with Bywater, who's implementing Koha for us. We have to figure out how we're going to handle transferring the holds. They're not certain that they're going to be able to take the holds from our current system and transfer them over into the new system. We're still working on it. We're still hopeful because that's ideally what we want to happen. But if worse comes to worse, we'll probably have to put a moratorium on holds for a few weeks. And then once we go live, our staff will get a lot of training about entering holds because they'd have to manually enter those in. We did have good news last week. Senator Steinhardt has committed to sponsoring a New Jersey Senate bill that would help defray the costs for the ILS. The bill currently is asking for $500,000 for the Maine Library Association, which we would be part of. So it would greatly reduce what we're having to pay to make the migration. This is our last meeting of the year, so I wanted to let you guys know, with the county's bicentennial next year, our staff has been working on creating different programs, hiring some outside lecturers, coming up with ideas for Facebook posts. They've already scheduled a cultural natural history in the Minnesink in the Delaware Water Gap program. We have a series of Victorian magic, Victorian medicinal cures from that era. One of our staff members, Mary Ellen, has set up 100 years of antique and collectible quilts program from 1860 to 1960. So I'm very, very pleased. I'd asked them to come up with a few programs, and it looks like we're going to probably end up with at least one every month in celebration of the bicentennial. And we do have staff that they're creating like a bookmark contest, a Warren County trivia contest. And even on Facebook, we're going to do a series of then and now photos from local locations. We're going through our local history photo collection and pulling a few, and then staff are going out and taking current photos. So I would certainly encourage everyone to kind of keep your eye on our calendar next year, because we're going to have some really wonderful events going on. And then finally, our sad news. This is our last meeting with Trish and Alice. I want to thank you both and for 14 years of service to the commission, the library. Wow, yeah. It's been a long time. I know you've all had different roles in the officers. You kind of rotated through the years. I know you both served on our subcommittees. So we really do appreciate your dedication. Yeah, we're gonna miss you. Go ahead, Henry.
Commissioner comments? I have none. Any? Executive session, we have no need
We're
for.
closing
Oh,
public.
I'm sorry, closing public.
So the question that's still not resolved for me is how exactly these book resources are going to be used? I mean, since you guys decided a long time before we show up that this is what you're gonna do, and since you've done such a great research into this particular tool, I'm curious how you're gonna use it.
Well, once again, it's not for just this board to be used, it's resources for parents, so these will be, as the resolution says, these will be posted at the branches. And patrons can choose to go on any or none of them.
Posted where?
Bulletin board,
Bulletin board. What's the librarian's role in all of this?
We don't have one.
we don't have one.
Okay, so when 14-year-old will go and pick a book, nobody's going to stop this 14-year-old from taking the book, right?
No.
So why?
When-
Other than their
When
parents.
do, I don't know where you're getting that idea that if a 14-year-old wanted to get a book.
No, I'll tell you where I'm getting this idea. The trust is lost. You guys did something very covertly. You did something without research. You made the decisions before we showed up and you put a resolution to vote on. So you lost our trust. So that's why I'm questioning. I want to hear that this is not going to be a true imposition on our.
Has there ever been a trial that was denied?
I probably am.
No,
We did not.
But why is this body decided that this was needed? That's what we cannot understand. Why is this body deciding it's your role to find this resource?
Just a resource.
It's a
Yeah,
resource.
just a resource.
But once again, you don't want to take you up your 4 minutes, so you have your 4 minutes to make your comments.
It's on my 4 minutes. I'm full.
Yeah.
I'm good. I have 2.5 minutes.
Take your time, Aaron.
Yeah. Please explain to me how did
We-
you guys decide
This is
that
not,
you needed?
this is not supposed to be a back forth between the board and you. This is your time to make your comments.
No, I
Please
get
make
it.
your comments. This board does not have to
So-
answer your question.
Clearly, what you're saying, Commissioner, is that it's you dictating to us what your wishes are.
Nobody
And
is
we're supposed to
dictating
take it, but
for you to
just
use
did.
the site.
You
If you
just
don't
did.
want to use
But
it,
you did
then
not
don't use
research,
it.
you didn't even research these sites. Some of them have subscription course. Some of them are
Do they
used
have
for
a
library.
subscription? No, not
You've done no research whatsoever. I took one.
Which
book.
one has the I don't know which one has,
Uh,
the BookLooks does not have
If
the
you're- But you
subscription.
should do the research. I mean, bunch of us did the research.
Some have looked at these things.
But how could you? That's my point. We were given, how could you compare these things? I mean, you have a person here who clearly has some stake.
Just
in this whole
because
thing.
There's a disagreement between yourself and the decision of the board does not mean that the board has not done their research or has not made their decisions. It's the decision of the board. It's been done.
No, you
So if you
to-
have any comments, you're more than welcome to make those
Yeah, I
comments.
am. I am
Thank
making
you.
my comment. You had very poor researchers. You did not do your diligence. You took upon yourself something that was not your issue even to take. We were living just fine, such a long time. We had no problem speaking books, and yet somehow you decided that there is a problem because somebody had a solution. And this is where we are. I still do not understand what you're gonna do with it. I do not understand where you're going to post it. If it's gonna be somewhere on a bulletin board that nobody's going to see, then what's the point, right? The whole situation looks like the trust is definitely corroded. That's what I'm suggesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll just make this super quick. Hi, I'm Sandy again. Started this off by asking, what is the problem this is solving? And I still don't know what problem you think you're solving. I asked who this is for, and I think that's very clear now. That's for a few activists on our commission who wanted to highlight this resource and solve a problem that didn't exist. It was mentioned that you have to take consideration of everyone in the community. Here is your community.
Right. None of us like.
right here, we've been showing up for months, taking time out of our day, away from our families, to be here, to tell you that we care, that we love our library, to share with you our goals, our needs, and what we think is the right direction for this resource that we pay for. We're here.
We're here too.
And,
we're on the same
right, but
page.
here's the problem, I'm sorry, I thought this wasn't a back and forth,
Oh, sorry.
right? I keep hearing that. We're here, we've been here. So it's very clear that there are a couple people that wanted this list, created a problem that didn't need to be solved, so that they could put this list out. No one asked for it. We certainly didn't. And it does not look like you are willing to listen to what the community who has been showing up to support this library with their time, with their energy, and with their trust. It seems clear that there's no interest in listening to that. You said you want to represent the community. Well, you are representatives. You're public servants. And today you chose to rule instead of represent. And that's a damn shame. Thank you.
I'm Jay Wallstein from the Friends of Northeast. And I came here today because I was concerned about people talking about censorship. And I'm glad to hear that many people feel the same way I do, that any censorship is bad. We had an example with the story hour many years ago, and that was canceled because of censorship. But I'm glad to hear that the consensus here is that we should not have any censorship. And I thank you for your time.
My name is Michelle St. Andre, I'm from Knowlton Township, and I do have two different questions. The resolution that you have listed under section 10, the food posting for the use resources, is very vague. I'm sure there are more specific words in the actual resolution that's going to be posted. They're not included in here, so we don't really know what you voted on. The other thing is, the first section of public comments, people were lined up to state their opinion and ask questions about the choices of these resources. You could have tabled this resolution instead of voting on it tonight and done more research and taken all of these community opinions under consideration, but you didn't. You chose to vote and not listen to anything. It's a very strong concern of the community. And I have another question, so I know it's back and forth, and I'm not sure if I should be directing it to you. How are books chosen for the library?
We use a variety of resources. It's our professional librarians who make the selections, do the ordering.
That list should be made public, not a list that you're using, unless one of these 5 is used to make choices. Because if it is, that's pretty damning. And that's all I have to say.
Hi, I'm Shelley Reddy. I'm from Bigland Township, and I love libraries like everybody else in this room, and I thank everybody for their time. I'm not going to be nearly as eloquent as everybody else. I think Sandy said it best, and I don't know about everybody else who said it, but I'm with her, and follow her to hell and back. In speaking with 2 librarians this week, no parent is coming to the front desk asking for resources. So why do we have this? From tonight's speakers, most of them are parents. I'm hearing that parents will make their own decision. Again, why do we need this? I am getting the impression, I admit, I have not been coming to meetings. When I saw that this was the agenda, I was like, I'm gonna be there. Because I feel like this is a politically motivated effort of suppression. I really do. And you may say, hey, all the library books on the shelves, they can read anything. But the minute you start listening to one source or making it available to the people, that mentioned slavery. Oh my gosh, I mentioned slavery. Well, slavery is a fact of life. It should be mentioned in the same way. World War II, the Depression, the good times. Why is the source calling out these particular things without making mention of other things or targeting a certain really subsegment of books? That's gotta tell you, it's politically motivated and it does not belong in our library. Thank you very much.
Hi there, I'm Trent Levitt. I just want to thank you guys for making the bold decision to approve this resolution. Despite what all the prudes in this room might have to say, I just want to say thank you for providing this resource that I would have loved to have as a teen. Because back when I was a teen, I had to trudge through books, talk to friends, read 500 pages just to find the juicy little bits in there. But now, thanks to you guys and the perfect effort. Yeah, ready for the good stuff, and it is endorsed by this library, so thank you all very much.
My name is Teresa Jackson. I volunteer with the Friends of the Library group here at this location, and we do love to support all of the locations. And I have to say, I am extremely disappointed with the decision made today. For all the time and effort that, I know you guys are, here volunteering as well. You've been appointed, you've put in the time and effort, but for all the additional time and effort I've been putting in to fundraise for this library and to fundraise for the libraries in this county, and to see how this is what's being decided for this county. I'm here because I believe everyone should have access, should have credible resources to make their decisions. This source is not credible. It is targeting a specific type of book, and it has an agenda. And when you post it in the library, you are endorsing it. You are making it seem like it is credible. You lose the credibility here. And considering that this is what my time and effort is going into, I'm disgusted. And I hope you really think about this, because you have people who are here working for this library, who are really, not getting paid for it, really trying to make a difference in here. And you're essentially like insulting them. I'm so upset right now. I just wanted that to be heard as somebody who is actively volunteering here multiple hours throughout the year, all the time.
Again, earlier. I'm gonna keep this short. You guys make pretty much like those of you who support using BookLook, pretty much it's as I expected. I could talk about how it's not credible and such, but you don't care. As someone else pointed out, there's a political agenda. You probably want to earn brownie points with your friends with some group somewhere, and I guess you will. That's pretty much what you're doing. I think we know what you're doing, and you know what you're doing. And what else is there to say? You want censorship, and I guess you're getting it. So congratulations on your victory, I guess. That's all.
So I want to ask, what is this policy about? Why? What happens when you go through with this policy and there's a child, a queer child or a child of color that isn't allowed to read a book because it has suggestions of commentary on slavery or commentary on LGBTQ issues? What precedent are you setting for that child other than they should remain marginalized and they should not learn about issues that pertain to them? Why do you have a lack of empathy for that? It's dishonorable. It's just flagrantly apathetic. And I hope you're ashamed of yourselves.
I think I can say 5 words again. This time I brought a list because I ran out of time. I want to say that having book list provides diversity and inclusion on your list, which is something that even the American Library Association values. The ALA recommended street lit precisely because it was unfair to exclude small publishers. So some people are arguing that BookLooks is so small that we shouldn't even have it because other ones have hundreds of thousands of books. Well, you have to be consistent, right? There's no double standard. If the ALA says we need to include street lit because it's unfair to exclude small publishers, then it's time to exclude small reviewers too. It's as simple as that. ALA recommended websites aren't the be all and end all. One ALA recommended website is, for example, Go Ask Alice at Columbia University, where you can learn how to hang yourself while you're having an orgasm so it feels better. This is how actor David Carradine died. And I found out this is how some child died in a library, using this website because it came recommended from the American Library Association. So they're not the be all and end all of expertise. ALA is also on the list. The ALA book list source is on the list. It almost smacks of censorship to say you can't have BookLooks, but we're allowed to have ALA book list on there. I just find that funny coming from ALA people supposedly. And the last thing I wanted to mention here, that the people here who emphasize how they're coming out from the community constantly here, a lot of them are here because of community organizing within the American Library Association to get people to come out here.
That's not true.
Such as Martha Hickson recommending Guy Citron article in the newspaper, and he was here basically ringleading all the clapping and all the jeering that was going on against you guys. That's where that comes from. Comes from him. Thank you.
Address the board, but thank you.
Their tools should not be used. It's a terrible tool. It's unprofessional.
It's diversity, equity, and inclusion.
No, it's a bad idea. It's a bad problem.
Sarah here again.
You have kids that come to this library. You have kids that come here.
I decided to come up again just in response to Commissioner Sarnoski's comments, but I would like to just finish comments I didn't get to finish a little bit. Commissioner, you made the statement that this website, puts information out there, but it doesn't really judge the books. You made a comment to that, suggesting that, and I just want to say that every single book on that website has a summary of concerns. So any book that has been recommended for that website, they're putting on there because there is some concern, even if it rates a 0. The fact that it is on that website, somebody recommended it for review because they had a concern. And my real problem with this website, it's not that, as a reading specialist, I didn't have concerns about books. There are plenty of books on that site and in my own experiences that, yes, have sexually explicit material that I am not comfortable with. Plenty of parents, I agree, would want to watch out for certain literature like that. But that is not what this website is all about. It does have ratings of 4 and 5 with some very explicit, sexual content that I agree should be monitored by parents. But there are books on here that are just about African-American history, about slavery times, about LGBTQIA+ experiences, and they are on sexual identity information. They are on learning about ourselves as sexual beings. They are on true African, American history in this country, and not just that, about world history as well. And they are listed as concerns because they contain something about, something about oppression or resistance in history. That is wrong. Those books should not be in that website. And why are we putting it out there as legitimate area of concern? That's history. We shouldn't be denying history. I agree there are books we should be monitoring. Every parent should be monitoring. I'm upset that parents aren't reading the books themselves. You know how many parents I've worked with that didn't have a clue what their children were reading. Because they didn't want to take the time, you know, so they're gonna look at this website, they see an excerpt, they see a quote. And they're gonna think, oh, that's the whole book. That's what no, Julie of the Wolves, Newbery Medal winner, beautifully written book. And that's on this list. Nate the Great, an early reader, can you believe it? Nate the Great and the Sticky Case, because I believe it's his mother is in a bathtub full of milk. And they think, oh, there might be something, you know, risque in there. Nate the Great. Marvin Redpost. Is he a she? Guess what? They put that book in there implying that it has, you know, material we should be concerned about regarding LGBTQ plus, you know, gender questioning, when in fact it's a hilarious prank-driven situation of a boy who is told by a friend that if he kisses his elbow, he might become a girl, and he believes him. And it's all about his experiences thinking he might be acting like a girl. It was written far before any of this controversy was ever brought up, early 80s maybe. I mean, and that book is on the list with a summary of concerns, and it has nothing to do with LGBTQ plus, you know, rights or anything to do with that. That's the problem with this book. I'm not here for a political reason. I'm here as a reading specialist, as a person who is concerned about children's literature and what parents will perceive when they see this website. It is giving the wrong messages. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Monica Scott. It's concerning to me that you would vote on this as a credible source. Because once again, as a librarian and as a parent and as a grandparent, yeah, I can see where parents would want to know what their children are reading, but hopefully, and I understand because I did have a lot of busy parents. I would have baskets of books so that they could come in right after work, grab the books and leave. But it is the parent's responsibility to know what their child is reading. But you have just endorsed a site that is clearly biased. And that is really concerning because the library should be open to everyone. And you should use credible sources. And if we can't depend on intelligent, educated board to do it, then that to me, you lost credibility. Right here. ABCs of equality. Areas of concern or summary of concern. This book contains alternative gender ideologies, alternate sexualities, and references to xenophobia. That's the review on this. And again, who are these people? Do they have PhDs? Do they have children's studies? Anything? And they refer to just list of words. This same book, pass it around, is by Baker and Taylor. It says the same thing where a parent can look and see, oh, there's an L for LGBTQ. There's an N for no means no. There's a P for privilege. There's an X for xenophobia. It is not saying a summary of concern. So it is clearly bias. And that's not for you to determine for your parents. So you really have lost a lot of credibility in choosing this site. And you have time to choose better sources. Yes, choose sources, but choose credible sources for your parents to refer to. Not someone that is clearly biased and not by people who have the credibility to make that decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, one more thing. Based on additional comments, I would like to strongly suggest that you amend this resolution. You voted on tonight, and an amendment to a resolution is possible.
You've already had your comments. Okay.
Come up the second time. You have many other people who did, and I'm under the 4 minutes. So I would like to strongly suggest that you amend the resolution after hearing all of these additional comments. It's a possibility. a very likely possibility.
All the discussion around resources is troubling to me. But my greater concern in closing is I didn't observe a good governance model here tonight. I heard the lady ask about finances as regards to bills. It's fait accompli before you see them. I heard her ask about communications, fait accompli before she has access to it. I looked on your website quickly to see if I could see the resolution, the language in the resolution, found no such reference to it. So again, fait accompli, I'll see it when it's done. That's not a good governance model. You got a room full of people here tonight that have interest in what transpires, but they left here with no more knowledge than they arrived with, because they can't see the words. They can't see the communication. They can't see the numbers that you're making decisions on. So I would strongly request that you go back to the attorney and discuss that with them, because that's not a good governance model. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ed Thomas. I'm from Washington, New Jersey. And, I just want to thank you guys for all your volunteering and for all the work that you put in. And as a father and a grandfather, it's important to me to make sure that when I bring my kids or my grandkids to the library, I don't have a lot of time to be looking at, to be looking through books, reading all these books. But just to have another tool to be able to look at someone else's opinion, I don't have to look at it if I don't want to. But it's another tool that helps me make these decisions for, what books that I would get for my kids or grandkids. And that's it.
Thank you.
You mentioned that there'll be a lot of moving necessary of furniture, shelves, booking to the county library, into the county library in Blairstown. Could you tell us, is that new furniture? Is that the furniture was there? Is it a combination? And if so, can you give us the percentage of reused furniture that was there before and new?
I know it's a combination. I do not know the percentage.
Okay. And as far as needing a lawyer to comment on whether the resolution to reveal the budget that is not your private checkbook, it is composed of taxpayer dollars, and there is no way that should be withheld. And if you do withhold it, that is a lack of transparency. And as Patrick Henry said, without transparency, citizens do not have liberty. So we need to know what the numbers are. $105,000, that's a lot of money. Especially with the multi-millions of dollars that have been poured into this library system, that and many people are very concerned about the increase in our taxes because of it, and other big capital projects. So yeah, I'll be over requesting that, and I shouldn't have to, because generally public officials, when they have the public information at their fingertips, do not tell a citizen, go file an Oprah request. They share that information because it is public information. There's no reason to withhold it. So I hope that you'll reconsider the lack of transparency that this library has had regarding public funds.
We have a hand on the internet.
No, that was.
If any of the Zoom attendees would like to make closing public comments, you can unmute yourself and please introduce yourself.
Okay.
Hi, Elizabeth, live in Sportsville. I'm disappointed that you voted this way. There was a woman that asked about, the subscription costs. And I think I've spoken to you quite a few times. I belong to an investment club and we used to meet here every month and we use the value line investment. I'm sorry, I'm cold. And, the library voted, I guess, to get rid of value line. I'd rather that money maybe went to, you don't even know what the subscription cost was for this. But you got rid of value line, so now we go down to Clinton Township to the library. But yeah, disappointing, you could have tabled this and voted next month after you did your due diligence. Thank you.
Hearing none, close. Motion to adjourn.
Do we need to go into executive or no?
No.
I'll make a motion.
Second.